Hello there, all you comic readers, and today we will look at the Hellblazer by Garth and his Omnibus, published by DC. Under it is actually the Vertigo imprint, but since that is defunct now, it is published under the DC Black Label logo, which I personally don't like. This is written by Garth Ennis and illustrated by all these nice gentlemen here. Special mention to Steve Dillon, who illustrates the majority of it and who would go on to have one of the greatest comic runs in Preacher with Garth Ennis. This is the recently released Omnibus, and all the cover art is done by Glenn Fabry. Before we check out the interior of the Omnibus, let's look at what the contents are. It collects Hellblazer 41 to 50, 52 to 83, and then Ennis takes a long break and then returns for a short story in 129 to 133. Also, it collects the Hellblazer Special 1, the graphic novel Heartland, and is introduced by Stuart Moore, who was the editor at the time of Garth Ennis' run and who also wrote some novelizations like Batman, Killing Joke, Anti-Crisis and stuff. Many people were not happy when DC solicited this comic omnibus because they felt not every issues were collected, and Hellblazer, as the 300 issue long title it is, required a comprehensive omnibus which collects every issue from the start. Personally, I prefer this format because Garth Ennis' run is the high point of the entire Hellblazer history. This is the interior cover art, and then papers are like black, just like most of the recent DC omnibuses. And this was the actually solicited cover for the omnibus. I am glad they changed it into this much more badass Constantine cover. And for those who don't know, Hellblazer is the story of Constantine. You may have heard of the character from the DC Legends of Tomorrow TV series and all, but that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. This was the premier title of the Vertigo imprint, as I have told you, it ran for 300 issues, nearly before the New 52 rebooted it into a child-friendly title, which many people disagreed with this, to say the least. And as for Garth Ennis' run, you know what Garth Ennis is capable of, those who have read his comics at least. There is profanity, there is violence, but there is always an undercurrent of a message in it. His Preacher, even though it has horror elements, it has profanity, it has violence, it has swearing and all that stuff, it's really a story of friendship. Similar is with Preacher. This is the story about the con life of this guy John Constantine, who in the initial storyline Dangerous Habits, which is also the most famous storyline by Garth Ennis, finds out that he has been affected by lung cancer due to his constant smoking habit. And I shall not show all the pages due to avoid, and he cons his way out of his death, which is very pretty funny to read. And there are many other great titles, great stories in this. And as you can see, when Steve Dillon's art kicks in, you can realize it is his art, because that's a special type. Although most of the artists work with the Vertigo type, Steve Dillon's art is distinct in its quality. And now let's look at the extras, shall we? And also, this is the back cover. Oh, that's a sweet one, showing Constantine, who is known for betraying his friends and giving them to death, working with one of his dead friends. For an omnibus of this size, you can't really expect many extras in it, but it has the variant cover galleries. This was the cover for the TPB of Dangerous Habits, which I owned a PDF of. No, sorry, not PDF, CBR file. Anyway, all of these up to here, this photorealistic style, are illustrated by Glenn Fabry, and here this is without the inking. And there is a Gary and Shine's cover and Phil Winslate's cover, and there is the short bios on all the creators who have worked on this wonderful comic. And here is the spine of the, oh yeah, that's inverted. I'll show you. And as you might have seen, the binding is a little tight. Due to this being an omnibus of this much thickness, it consists of actually 1300 pages or something. You can't really expect the book to stay flat in its initial, these areas, because binding is really tight. But you can't blame the DC for that, because otherwise this omnibus would not be as stable and sturdy as. I would recommend this book at my utmost, because it's a beautiful read. It's not as good as Preacher by Garth, which is, in my opinion, his magnum opus, but you can really read this book and enjoy it. There is a lot of content, and it's a recent release, so it's available everywhere. You can buy comics, and I recommend you to read this one. There is not much of an eye or anything, but this is a great collection of comic books. Otherwise, you can collect this in the trade paperback form from the Hellblazer Volume 5, which overlaps some of the issues from Jamie Delano's run, who was the initial writer of Hellblazer. But that's where Garth and his run start, from Volume 5 of Hellblazer TPB, and you can work your way up from there if you don't want to buy such a big omnibus. And these are the formats in which the Hellblazer run is available. There are other great runs by Brian Azzarello. Jamie Delano's run is good too, but Garth Ennis is the most famous and most well received run. So I applaud DC for collecting an omnibus like this. Maybe we would get a Hellblazer by Jamie Delano omnibus in the future. So that's all. Until I see you next, thank you and have a nice day. So adios amigos, you comic readers.